You know, I was honest and upfront of why I joined LIV, and it was purely for the money. You know, LIV didn't offer me $1. Yeah, it's very, very easy to take the moral high ground when it's not there in front of you. I just wish the PGA Tour would have been honest about it. It's because I play LIV. I've been on the wheel for nearly 30 years, and at some point you got to get off.
Richard, thank you for joining us. Appreciate some time. Now, I've done all my research a couple of weeks ago prior to you going on to then win the PGA Senior Championship. So I've got to start with that. And you know, another career highlight in this sort of Indian summer of a career you're having. Where does it match up with the British Masters for you?
To be fair to you, I haven't really thought about it a huge amount as such. You know, for one, it's still kind of sinking in. Mm-hmm. Obviously, been quite busy with this kind of stuff this week, so I think as you know, I'll kind of let it sort of percolate over the coming weeks and kind of see. It's obviously the British Masters is always special. I guess you always kind of remember your first, so to speak. Yeah, obviously, of course, it's going to be right up there. Obviously, winning a senior major is you know, kind of dream come true stuff. So, like you say, right now, I probably can't answer that question, but you know, obviously, it's very, very special, and yeah, hopefully, there's more to come. We'll
Absolutely.
See. But yeah, you know, to go out there and win it your first try, I'm glad it didn't take 478 tries. But yeah, it was a great week.
And on that, being able to win for the first time you appeared in a seniors event, to me that shows that LIV's keeping your game really sharp. Like, how sharp is your game playing on LIV, and is it, you know, at the same level it was when you were having that hot summer in 2021?
It's actually better.
Wow. Okay.
Like I've said many times on record that LIV has made me better. You know, I would play against DJ, Brooks, and Bryson, and some of the best players in the world once, maybe twice a year in a major if I qualified. Now I get to play against them 14 times a year. I said so. I know every single week that I play on LIV, I have to bring my best game if I'm going to compete. So it's kind of it's a no option for me. So it just forces me to play better, and yeah, unfortunately, it's worked.
And you know, you would have been given exemption to the seniors tour had it not been for you on LIV. Is that frustrating, or is it the kind of thing you're sort of like, is what it is, knew it was coming?
I knew it was coming, but I just kind of like, I just wish the PGA Tour would have been honest about it. You know, they've kind of hidden behind this. It was a non-PGA Tour sanctioned event, which, hang on a second, you give a exemption to the Champions Tour to every major champion, whether it's R&A, US Open, US PGA, they get that exemption. You know, Paul Broadhurst got it when he won the Open. Stephen Dodd got it when he won the British Open seniors, and that's R&A. And they say the R&A, they stand outside of the PGA Tour exemptions. Well, actually, they don't. You give that exemption. So just come out and say what it is. It's because I play LIV, and that's fine. I knew that, and I'm not losing any sleep over it at all. But just be honest. But I kind of don't see. Yeah, they call LIV a rival tour to the PGA Tour. Okay, fine. But is it really a rival tour to the champions? Probably not. So I don't really see what they get out of it. You know, I'm not saying that I would take up that exemption and go play a full schedule. I might have played a couple at the end of the year. Who knows? But yeah, you know, as far as I'm concerned, it's their loss, not mine.
Absolutely. And so, did you feel a little bit like you were fighting LIV's corner when you were there? Because
no, not at all.
Or was it sort of like, this is a separate event? It's obviously your first senior event, your first senior major. Did you kind of be able to? Did you part the LIV stuff and go, right? Let's. When obviously
yeah, you're just there. You're purely there to do your job, plain and simple. So you know, I had no thoughts of LIV while I was out there, of what this would do for that. As I'm sure the guys at the PGA the week before, the Brookses and the John Rahms, yeah, they're not probably thinking the same that week. They're just purely there to do the best job they can and give themselves the best chance to win. So if you're kind of thinking of what it's going to do for LIV and this, that, and the other, then you're not fully focused on the job you're doing. So obviously it's been great, the response that I've had from LIV afterwards.
Yeah.
Greg Norman has texted me. Loads of players on LIV have texted me or said something on social media. So and obviously I'll see the guys next week. So I'm looking forward to that.
We'll come back onto how you got onto LIV and the future of your game in a little bit, but I want to take you back to 2021 if I can, and that British Masters win. It was your 478th start. I remember it being just a really great feel-good story. We were still COVID-y times. There wasn't a lot of sport on. That came on. I think it filled a lot of people with joy. I'm sure it did with you as well.
Yep.
Did it ever feel like a tour? Like, I don't know where your mindset was at. Did it ever feel like one was coming because it had been taking so long? Or was it just one of them where you're like, I'm going to get there in the end, my game's going to click 1 week?
Yeah, I think I always kind of knew I was going to get there. But I wasn't really, it was kind of strange. I wasn't exactly showing a huge amount of form coming into it. I was making cuts, but not really doing anything. And I remember, I think we were in Tenerife, I think, for 2 weeks prior. Obviously, like it was during COVID, and we had two. Was it the same tournament? Was it the same week? Same venue? I think it was. We played 2 tournaments at the same venue. And I remember went out on Sunday, and I think I was like 6 under through 8 or something like that. I couldn't miss, and I just started hitting every single shot at the flag, and I think I maybe shot 6 or 7 under the last day or something like that to finish maybe just outside the top 10 or something like that. I can't quite remember, but I think the big thing for me was because we were on I was away for a month or 5 weeks because obviously we couldn't travel. We had to travel within bubbles and what have you. And I remember that I went home literally for about 7 hours. She was my fiance back then, but now my wife. She drove up to Birmingham. I think we landed at like 1 o'clock in the morning on Tuesday, I think it was. Or was it Monday. It was a Wednesday start. And she drove up to about 2 o'clock in the morning to Birmingham. I went to the Belfry, which was 45 minutes in the wrong direction, to test, and then drove home. So we got home about 4 o'clock. And I just had I think I left at about 1 o'clock in the afternoon to go back up to the Belfry and played like 9 holes because we got rained off, and then we were starting on the Wednesday. Just to kind of like reset, unpack the suitcase, repack the suitcase, that kind of thing. That's one of the things I always liked about Europe is you could always go home in between events. When you were in mainland Europe, you could go home, right? So that was it, right? That was that week done. And then when you then unpack, repack, and go on the Tuesday, right, it's a new week. And I struggled with that during COVID when we were away for 4 or 5 weeks at a time. I really struggled with that. And I think that was a huge thing, just being able to go home for hardly any time.
Yeah, but enough to sort of
compartmentalise kind of like, right, draw a line on the sand there, right, that's that done. It's now a brand new tournament.
Yeah.
When I couldn't go home, I just felt like 1 week always like flowed into the next, and I never really had any like closure of the week before. So I think that played a huge part. I really do.
And so you said there wasn't much form going into it per se. You were playing fine. What was there like? It sounds like that week in Tenerife where something just clicked on the Sunday. Was that what it was, and you were just able to bleed that into the week of the Belfry?
I think so. And I literally, I couldn't miss that week of the Belfry. I couldn't hit a poor shot if I tried. I think I was tee to green way, way, way above anybody else. I think I missed like single-digit greens.
That's a tough place
for the
to
whole
do it
week.
at
Yeah,
as well.
And it was playing quite long. It was quite cold. Some of the week. I made 1 bogey all week, and that was like I missed from about 3.5 feet. Okay, I hold, all right, up and down it a couple of times from some tough spots that yes, you could have easily made bogey, but I think I missed from about 3.5 feet for a bogey. That was my only one, I think, in the 3rd round or something like that. like you say, I couldn't make a bogey if I tried to make one. So yeah, it was it's one of those. If I had like an average putting week, I'd have probably won by about 8. But obviously, you're always trying to make it difficult for yourself. So, but yeah, probably still some of the best tee to green I've ever played.
So 35 days later, you held the 36-hole lead at the US Open. You were the oldest man to have ever done that. I think that's still the record in place. Can you describe that experience? Because you're obviously still sort of riding the coattails and the whirlwind of what happened at the Belfry. How were you able to sort of bring yourself back down, go and play in this tough major and play awesome for 2 days again? What happened there? Still riding it?
Yeah, I think so. It was fortunate that I think after the British Masters I had a week off, I think. And obviously it was pretty hectic with media and everybody wanting a piece of you that week. And I didn't really do much. And then I remember I went to Denmark and played, and I was really kind of, where's my game going to be at? I was still quite tired. And I remember I came out the first 5 holes and didn't miss a shot. And I just kind of instantly knew, right, I'm going to be in this. I'm going to be in this right to the end. I think I finished 3rd, I think. And yeah, it just kind of it was just great that, right, okay, I hadn't really practiced that much in the week after the British Masters. And my game's still there. And then I think maybe it was a week off after Denmark, and then I went to US Open. So I knew that my game was in really good shape. And again, I just probably the best driving week I've ever had. I mean, they always talk at the US Open how tough it is off the tee. I actually thought it was quite easy, just because. I just didn't feel like I could miss a fairway. I was hitting 11, 12 fairways a day, even at the weekend when it didn't go my way. I still drove it unbelievably well. So yeah, to hold the lead, or tied for the lead, as it was after 36 holes, was a great experience. And I'm not the first person to have a poor weekend at a major. That's someone that's been leading, certainly at a US Open. I certainly won't be the last. So it was just great experience. Just something again that right, okay, if I play the game that I know I can play, I could compete against the best in the world. So even though it was, in the end, it was a little bit of a disappointing week, but I took a lot out of it.
And you were the story for, a month or 2, 6 weeks, let's say, after the British Masters, and then the Americans sort of saw you and understood your story a little bit more. Then LIV come knocking. Do you think they would have come knocking were it not for that hot 6 weeks? It was such a moment. The timing all fell right. Where do you think that might have slotted in? Where do you think your career might have gone?
LIV obviously LIV was the next year.
Yeah.
That was 2021. Obviously, I was fortunate enough to keep playing really well through 2021, so my world ranking was good. I think I ended the year around about 80th in the world. And there was obviously, we'd heard rumours that obviously that Saudi Arabia wanted to get into golf, and that Greg Norman was looking to try and get a kind of some of the best players in the world playing somewhere else. But I at that point, at the end of 2021, it wasn't really on my radar. My radar was to play DP World, and I would have been 49. So yes, I could have then gone. My radar was more, I can actually go to Champions Tour at the end of 2022. You could go when you're 49, but you couldn't play until you're 50. But I was 50 in the February, so if I happened to get my card at the end of the year, I could play a full year, and I could still play in Europe because I was exempt, so I could kind of pick and choose a little bit. But I started the year really well. I lost in a playoff to Victor in Dubai, so then suddenly my world ranking went up to just outside of the top 50. And that got me into a couple of PGA Tour events, got me into the match play. And I remember we were playing the match play, and in my sort of group, it was Bryson, Taylor Gooch, and Lee, all LIV players. And I remember Lee was my game on the last match of the sort of round robin group, and I knew I had to beat him to to get through. And we were and I've known Lee for 30 years. We played amateur golf together. And I think we were going down the second or third, and he said to me, "Have you spoken to LIV yet?" And this is when we knew that LIV was really coming around. And I was like, "No, why would they want to talk to me, so to speak?" And he goes like, "Blandy," he says, you're top 60 in the world.
Right, yeah.
They're going to want to talk to you." And I went, "Right, really?" He said, "Yeah." And suddenly, right, okay. So I kind of just like parked that for the time being. And then when I got home, I spoke to a couple of people and obviously showed an interest. And yeah, and obviously, you know, as I've said many times, like, and I know a lot of people don't believe me when I say this, but you know, LIV didn't offer me $1. You know, it was just purely the opportunity to play. So no matter what people might think, whether I'm lying or not telling the truth on this, I got nothing to hide. I never have. So it was just purely the opportunity to play, and I had to play well enough to stay on LIV. So obviously it was a decision that, you know, I had to talk to my wife, my family about, and in the end it was quite an easy decision for me.
Yeah, and you've said on numerous times on record that it was that really easy decision. Some of your friends and colleagues now on LIV got quite a lot of flack when that first move happened, right? And you know, your Westwoods, your Poulters, your McDowells were taking a lot of heat. It feels to me as an onlooker that you weren't getting much of that, but simply because I think, and this includes myself and a lot of people, it was quite a feel-good story for you. I think people had seen you put the yards in and go, "Oh, good on Blandy," sort of thing. What sort of reception did you get, and was it those guys sort of taking the heat, and now it's obviously burned off after the last couple of years? And what kind of reception did you get, just sort of more from the outside, when that move of yours was announced?
Yeah, I think you know, generally that was the feeling. Most people, you know, at my stage of my career, yeah, you know what, I would have done the same. You know, but of course, you've always got the, you know, the sort of, yeah, I'd have probably put it at a 2/3, 1/3 split. That you've got the third that don't like it, and you know, they take the moral high ground on it, that where the money was coming from and what. You know, the sort of human rights issues that we know that are still ongoing in Saudi Arabia and what have you. But like I've said to people, I said, like, yeah, it's very, very easy to take the moral high ground when it's not there in front of you. You know, like I've said a few times on record, I said, if I turned up to somebody's house that was giving me a hard time over it, look, if I turn up with a briefcase of say $5 million in a briefcase and say, look, this is yours. Now this will set up your family for the rest of your life. It will put your kids through private education if you want that. It secures their future, your future, whatever you want to do for the rest of your life. I said, but this is where the money has come from. You know, the briefcase would be on the other side of the door within 5 seconds. It would, because it's there in front of them. When it's not there in front of them, it's very, very easy to go, oh, you shouldn't have done this, you shouldn't have done that. And I get it, that's your opinion, and that's absolutely fine. We all have it. But, you know, when that opportunity is there, and okay, I still had to prove myself to be able to do it. You know, we knew that first year was only going to be 7 events. So this might only be a 7-event thing for me. So it was a big risk, but I thought it was a big risk worth taking. And you know, I believed enough in my ability that if I play well, if I play the way I can play, I can compete there. You know, unfortunately, it's paid off.
Well, yeah, because now we're in, you know, that third year now, correct? Yeah. You're currently 25th for the season, which is right on that bubble. The top 24 automatically get their place next year. That middle ground are in a sort of flux period. So you're obviously playing some really good golf now. And you know, what's that main driving factor for you at the minute? It's 14 events a year. Is it to just keep playing LIV for as long as you can and enjoy the ride? Yeah,
you know, obviously we're in this sort of, we've had like a sort of a month off from LIV, and there's been this transfer window where teams can trade if they want to with players, but also players that are in their last year of a contract can be re-signed. Now the Cleeks have asked for me to be re-signed for next year, which I'm, you know, I've spoken to Martin and Johan, our team manager, about it, and obviously expressed my gratitude towards that, especially Martin, that he, as someone as the stature of Martin in the game, probably a Hall of Famer, done everything in the game that you could want to achieve, that has the belief in me still, when I will be 52 next year, that I can contribute to the team. So that's a huge confidence boost for me, that he has that faith in me. So hopefully that will be approved. I'd like to think last week bolsters that.
Absolutely.
So hopefully I'll maybe find out in Houston next week, or certainly over the next 2-3 weeks, that will be sort of okayed by LIV. So if that's the case, I get to play again next year. But right now, as I've said, I will play LIV for as long as I can, and probably when that finishes, that's probably me done.
Okay.
This is why I'm not probably losing a huge amount of sleep over the sort of denial of an exemption to Champions Tour, because as I feel right now, I don't really have any desire to go play. Obviously it's probably well documented. My brother's health has not been great, so that's really kind of shifted my what I want to do in the future. I don't particularly want to be playing competitively when I'm sort of 55, 56, whatever. I certainly don't, unless I'm still playing LIV by some miracle. Of course I will still play golf. I'll probably still go to play US PGA, because obviously I'm exempt for life. Who knows? But as it stands right now, when my LIV career ends, I end, so to speak.
Hopefully not literally. But that's kind of my next question was, it's kind of void now, but if you had been relegated for whatever reason, let's say this year or even the year before, would you have taken the option that like Bernd Wiesberg has done and gone back on the DP World Tour, or was it because, and the money is so huge, and I don't want to be too crass talking about money all the time, but has it sort of given you that, I can stop playing competitive golf? And you did the yards, you've done the yards.
That was purely why I did it. Like you say, I made no... I wasn't trying to pull the wool over anybody's eyes. I was honest and upfront of why I joined LIV, and it was purely for the money. I know people have been slated. It's growing the game. It's doing this, doing that, whatever. I purely went for one thing and one thing only, and I'm not ashamed to say that. Like I said, I had the opportunity to make my life, my family's, life, whatever we do as a family, a lot more easier. As I say, it was a no-brainer. So hopefully, I can maybe get, if I can get another 18 months, maybe 2 years out of LIV, absolutely great. But once that's finished, then me playing at the highest level is probably done. It was quite interesting talking to a few of the guys last week, playing the US PGA, of what they do on Champions, how much do they play, and they're playing 23, 24 weeks of the year. I don't want to do that in America. I don't want to do it. Well, that's how I feel right now. Maybe in 2 years' time I might feel completely different. Who knows? And my wife keeps saying that you'll never retire, but I quite like the fact of maybe just playing some, going on golf trips with my mates. If I play, like I'm playing a Pro-Am at the end of the year with Matt Letitia and a couple other friends in Arizona, and just go play for the enjoyment of it, not for the grind of it. Just go play for the enjoyment. I'll always play golf. It'll always be a huge part of my life. But just come play here more at the Wisley. I've got a lot of good friends here, and just kind of
chill out, man.
Chill out.
Yeah.
You've been on the sort of on the wheel for nearly 30 years, and at some point you've got to get off. And I want to do things with my wife, go travel. As I've said loads of times, I've seen I've been to a lot of places in the world, but I haven't really seen an awful lot of it.
A lot of hotel rooms, I imagine.
A lot of hotel rooms, a lot of golf courses. So it'd be nice to sort of go away for maybe 3 weeks, and you haven't got that thing that's spinning around in your head, going like, You know, I'm not practicing, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that, and just, you know what, just get away from it. You know, I'm actually looking forward to that. So I know, you know, it's coming to an end.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people got a lot of time and respect for the upfront honesty of, I'll take it for the money. I think that's what a lot of people want to hear, and a lot of people are like, you know what, fair. And as to your point earlier, when cash is in front of people, a lot of people have done the same.
Yeah. I've got nothing to hide. So, that, you know, I've seen it with a few interviews that I've given after the US PGA Seniors, that when I've said, like, you know, I didn't sign for a penny, and people can't get their head around that. But like you say, I can prove it. I can show you my bank statements if they want that.
Don't need to go that
you know, but I like you say, I didn't sign for one penny, and that was fine. I had and I don't begrudge the guys that signed for tens of millions or whatever. They earned it. That's fine. They've been at the sort of the sharp end of golf, so to speak, at the high end of the world rankings for a lot longer than I was.
Right.
You know, I'd only been there a year in the sort of buzzing around the top 50. So how can I sort of suddenly go, right, I want 10 million? You know, it's just kind of like getting above your station a little bit. You know, those guys have been, you know, the DJs and the Brookses and the Brysons, they've been top 10 in the world for probably a decade. You know, me buzzing around 50th for, you know, 6-9 months, it's a little different. So, yeah, I was just thankful that they believed in me and gave me the opportunity, and hopefully I've repaid that to them.
So I kind of want to talk about LIV, you know, how it works itself. I've got a few questions just from watching it myself and what mates have said and how you find it, basically. Yeah. So, firstly for me, the music playing in the background, as I've not been to an event yet on the ground, on the telly it comes across a bit weird. I just want to know what your opinions are.
Yeah, I think they've toned it down a little bit. I think in 2022 it was probably a little too loud, so to speak. A bit. But that's one of the things I love about LIV. They're still evolving. Mm-hmm. You know, we knew it was never going to be right day one when we teed off in Centurion. It's not going to be right. Of course, it's not. Even probably with PGA Tour, DP World, they've been going for decades, and there's probably still stuff that they can change. You know, they're still evolving as a tour, and they always will. You have to evolve with the times. But the one thing I love about LIV is they're constantly asking for feedback from the players, and this is not a criticism of DP World or any other tour that I've played on. That probably doesn't happen too much.
That sort of player tour conversation.
So right, what do the players want? What do you want more of? What do you want less of?
Okay.
You know, we've just done like we've done it every year, like a mid-season survey. Right, what do you like about this? What, you know, we're thinking of trying this. What do you think? So it's constantly evolving, and it's always player feedback. It's always player feedback, and so yeah, the music side has probably toned down a little bit. Okay, maybe in Australia it's a little bit louder because, you know, the atmosphere's there. You've got the fantastic party hole, which is such a cool place to be and to hit a golf shot.
That was like a lot of fun.
So you know, and I know they're trying to introduce a little bit more of that. You know, maybe into more tournaments, whether we get one in JCB. You know, you kind of need like the right par 3 to do it on. I know it happened in Vegas. You know, it's like you say, it's still trying to find where it's going to fit in the world of golf, and you know, how we're going to make it better. That's what we're always trying to do, is try to make right. It's not necessarily for the people that are at the tournament to make it a better experience for them, but make it a better experience for the guys that are watching at home, the people that are watching at home. And I think that's why LIV are taking it to another level. That, you know, my family actually can just put the TV on, watch a LIV event, and they just watch me. That's all they want to do. Mm-hmm. They don't have to watch DJ and Bryson if they don't want to. They can just go, right, I just want to watch that group there. And that's what they do. So, you know, and I think that's a good thing. Whereas, like, if you watch, say, you know, either the PGA Tour last week or the DP World, you can, and same with LIV, you can watch every single shot if you want to. But you also have the choice of, right, I can just watch that. And that's where we're trying to make things better.
And then the team element I want to hear a bit more about as well, because I think that's like, it's obviously unique. A lot of people are buying into it. I hear great things about it. So what's it like being part of a team at a golf event like this? And for example, if you're not quite in contention, you know, you're somewhere in the middle of the pack, but you know your team are up there. How does that all work in your head when you're playing on the last day of the week?
It keeps you going. Trust me, it certainly keeps me going.
Yeah.
Of course, because I want to prove myself to the team that I should be on that team. Like I said, we got a great captain in Martin. We've really, I think we're stronger than we've ever been. We've got Adrian now, who's a world-class player, and that's easy to see, and has played pretty well since he's come on to LIV. I think he's maybe had 3 or 4 top 10s. Mm-hmm. We've got Kali Samuja, who qualified through the promotions event last year. I didn't really know Kali too much for when I was on DP World, but great lad, such a funny guy, and a fantastic player. Yeah. And hopefully, I think he found it a little bit difficult, kind of making that transition into LIV, but he played well in Singapore. So I'm really hoping that he kind of kicks on now. And I think he will. You can see playing practice rounds with him. He's such a good player, and I think now that might just give him a little bit more belief that he can compete at that level. And I'm expecting big things from him. So it was really we struggled last year. Martin was injured most of the year. I had a pretty nasty wrist injury, but this year he's a lot fitter. He's playing pain free. And we're really starting to compete. We were actually disappointed we didn't win in Singapore. And I said to him, we were sat in the players' lounge, pretty down about it, finishing second. Yeah. And I said, look, hey, I know we're disappointed right now. I said, but look how far we've come. I think it's a real positive thing that we're sat here cursing ourselves that we haven't won.
Well, that's interesting because I think the untrained eye at least, and not hear it from the horse's mouth as well, people playing in LIV, the team thing can be a bit like, we don't know what you guys talk about or how you get on. It's interesting to hear that you guys go back and go. At the end of the
day, all you can do is take care of yourself. Yeah. And if you play well and the other guys play well, then you're going to be in contention. Right. Yeah. It's the same thing. It's no matter if you're playing for yourself or you're playing for a team. It's interesting. We could talk to Martin about Ryder Cups and what have you. And okay, you're there as a team, but when you're out there playing, right, that's all you can control. You can only control yourself. I can't control what Martin's doing or Adrian's doing or Callie's doing. Right, if I go shoot 5-6 under par, whatever, right, that's going to contribute to the team. So right, okay, if the other guys don't do the same, okay, that's fine. That doesn't bother me. The one thing I like about our team is we know that the 4 of us are giving it 100% on every single shot. Mm-hmm. So if we finish 10th, that's fine. Mm-hmm. Okay, it's disappointing, but I know that every guy on the team has given it 100. They haven't thrown the towel in if they've got to 3-4 over. They've tried, and that's fine. So right, okay, play better next time. Mm-hmm. So we've got a great team spirit this year. And I honestly really think between now and the end of the season, we will be spraying the champagne.
I firmly believe is there a win coming this year?
I think so. Yeah. I think so. I said it at the start of the year when we got Adrian on board. He was a pretty late signing right before Maricopa. I remember we were in, I think it was Las Vegas, so it was only like the second event, and I said, I think we're going to surprise a lot of people this year. Might not be straight away. I said, but at some point, and I know in Hong Kong, I think we were leading by 2 with about 6 to play. Unfortunately, we just fell short, and then we finished second in Singapore. So I think it's coming. Maybe not in Houston, but we will be fighting for it. Not maybe just once, but more often than not now. We'll be somewhere near come Sunday.
Last few then. So we just spoken there that in 5 years you may have been retired, you may still be on LIV. Who knows? Fingers crossed, right? But let's say in 5 years' time you're watching the golf as a fan. Where would you like to see pro golf in 5 or 10 years? Like, what is Richard Bland gets all the cards on the table, you get all the money. How would you like to see it organised, or what sort of direction do you want to start seeing it move in the long term?
I think we all want the best players in the world playing together more often. Of course we do. As a golf fan, we all want that. You want to see, Rahm and DJ and Brooks up against Scheffler and Rory and Xander coming down the stretch. We all want that. Not to say it happens an awful lot, even when they do play together, but that's what we want to see, the best playing against the very best. The one thing I certainly, it's not that I'm fearful of, is probably the wrong word, but what I don't hear a huge amount being talked about is what's the 80th and 90th guy going to be playing? Because even in those elevated event weeks, there's so many other golfers trying to play. They need somewhere to play.
Right.
And the thing is like if they haven't got anywhere to play those weeks, then it's going to make it so much harder for them to get to those elevated events. It really is, because if you're playing those elevated events every single time, you're gaining so many more points. Even if you finish 20th in one of those, you're probably going to get more than the guy who wins an event the same week, because he's not going to be playing anywhere near for the same amount of money, because sponsors are not going to put the money in, because they know they're not going to get the coverage, the TV rights, or anywhere near the same TV coverage, because the TV companies are going to want to watch the Rorys, the Schefflers and the Rahms. Of course they are.
Yeah.
So I just hope that doesn't, and I'm sure it won't be, but I just hope that doesn't get left behind too much, because the guy in 80th and 90th place is still a world-class player. That's the standard that golf is at now. And if you put the 90th player into a elevated series event, he can win. Pure and simple. That's how good they are. So that's kind of what I hope, is that, obviously, of course, we want it all to come together, and that was the thing. LIV never wanted to sort of fracture the sport in any sense of the word, or that. It was just, okay, I don't think there's any harm in giving players another option. Go, look, well, if you want to come play here, you can come play.
Right.
We should be able to play really wherever we want to go play. But I also get that the PGA Tour and DP World are going, right, okay, well, if you want to take our best players, we've got to fight for that. Of course they're going to fight for it. But, I think it's been very kind of, been button heads an awful lot this first sort of 18 months, 2 years. And I think everybody's realised now that LIV's not going anywhere. And okay, it's... right, we've just got to find a way. I'm glad I'm not in those negotiations to try and do it, because how you get around it, I got no idea. But I kind of look at it as like a bit in the cricket world. When the IPL came along, everybody didn't like it, playing for contracts and doing this, doing that. But it's found its place in the sport, and it fits in very, very well. And I'm sure LIV will do the same, whether it be with the PGA Tour, whether it be with DP World, however it fits. But it's just going to take a little bit of time. But, as it stands right now, it's basically the golf fan that's losing out, because they're not seeing the best players play enough. And obviously with the current system of the world rankings, it's only going to get worse.
So let's do some quickfire ones to end. Okay. Win the PGA Championship next year, or Southampton win the Premier League?
Well, that's a no-brainer. I'm going to have to be selfish on that one.
Good. I like that one. Sorry, Saints fans who are watching.
Fans, yeah.
Maybe the year after.
Yeah, maybe the year after.
Best shot you've ever hit at an event, or a most memorable one?
I think it's probably got to be the second shot in the playoff at the British Masters. So yeah, that could have gone horribly wrong. So I'm glad it didn't.
And then the worst shot you ever played in an event?
Oh Jesus, God.
I hope you're not racking your brain for too many.
Yeah, there's probably too many to mention. It's probably got to be like a shank or something like that. I remember I shanked one last year, I think in Arizona, in Tucson, which came completely out of the blue, because I was hitting it really nice all day, and then I just hit one and it just went sideways, and it was like, where on earth has that come from? So that's probably the one that springs to mind right now, but you try and erase those pretty quick. Absolutely. Richard, appreciate your time and your insights today, your honesty, and thank you for joining us. Thank you, mate.
Cheers.
Appreciate it.